Vindication!
Oh man, I thought we were gonna take a while to get to this point, but Activision wasted no time, and they made sure to let us know that they really wanted to send a message home. Today we're gonna be talking about pay-to-win Squid Game events, 42% loss of players in the last 30 days, double XP that doesn't work, and bots in multiplayer. Now, I know you guys have heard about this kind of stuff before, and I know that Charlie Intel has done a fantastic job covering this, so let's jump straight into it, guys. Alright, so Charlie Intel, on December the 27th, literally just 3 days ago, at least from the time of recording this video, they literally uploaded a post on X talking about how it appears Activision will be adding an additional microtransaction in Call of Duty with an event pass. The game in message of the day states Squid Game events will have an event pass with a premium track for more content. Chat, I don't know if you guys can understand how a $69.99, no, forget that, a $70 game is out here promoting a reward event pass for a $70 non-free-to-play game. This blows my mind. It makes no sense. They have no shame in how badly they want to nickel and dime their player base. Not only that, but it is my thought process that if we as a community let this slide and let the slimy hands of the suits get away with this, this is only going to mark the beginning. However, thanks to all the expansive collective BS that Activision has been pumping out over the past few months since the release of Black Ops 6, and especially before, going as far back to its late life cycle of MW3, the community has already had enough. And this has not been better represented than by the 42% loss of players in the last 30 days. Guys, I cannot tell you how much I feel vindicated. It's watching channels like Blame Truth and Nero Cinema that really made me realize that as a community, we need to stand together and we need to say enough is enough. And when the corporate suits want to keep pushing this BS over and over down our throats every single year, and we just go in and flock in and buy the same game every single year, at this point, it's literally just a habit. Every single year. Oh, it's that time of year again. Let me go ahead and buy the new Call of Duty game. It makes no sense. We're out here spending money at this point for games that we hope will get better, but in the back of our minds, we know the truth. And that's finally being reflected in the numbers. Now, the COD cycle is typically one that goes where the game releases, the honeymoon phase takes over. Everyone is happy with their friends, hopping on, talking about nostalgia. You see it every single year. And as someone who has been, a consumer for the past over a decade at this point, it's just seeing the COD cycle repeat over and over and over and over again. It gets kind of numbing, right? So usually the honeymoon phase lasts, then it ends somewhere around November time, and then the December hits, and then you get the Christmas noobs, or we used to get Christmas noobs. At this point, my audience watching these videos right now probably wasn't even alive when Christmas noobs was a term we used all the time. But back when we used to get Christmas noobs, that used to also boost up and ramp up the player counts for December. Now, nowadays, that is anything but what we see in the game. Chat, right now, if you guys were to hop on the game, you're gonna find that games like Team Fortress 2 are averaging higher player counts than a Call of Duty game, which on the Steam charts is the combination of Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 6, and Warzone, which is free to play. Guys, you cannot make this up. Right now, we are at a point where a AAA game owned by a studio such as Activision and Microsoft, the ones who literally make almost everything on PC that we use, right? Or at least have you know what? I'm just going to digress from that. The point is that it's at a point where it's impressive how much they're trying to do bad at this game. And I don't even think they realize it. I think they're that tone deaf. The community has finally had enough, and everyone is starting to uninstall the game. Everyone's going around and just saying they quit. The game is unplayable. The servers are horrendous. And that leads us into the next point. Double XP is not even working properly. Or so at least it's working in a way in which us in the community cannot even understand. Now, guys, let me tell you this. I'm not the most avid Call of Duty player, right? I play a lot of different games. So recently, I've been sticking a lot to single-player games. It's true. Why? Because it's so frustrating to play a game that is constantly making me go against the unemployment lobbies after I get one good game of free-for-all. It makes no sense how I, who work a 9 to 5, decide to come back home, play something to relax, and suddenly I'm getting screwed over by little Timmy, who has nothing better to do but to come home from school, get online with his friends, and then practice the skills that they've been learning from cheaters all around the internet. This is kind of frustrating to the point where now Call of Duty will throw us a bone such as double XP, and I'm not even incentivized to play. Now, how does the other rest of the community feel like? Because at this point, December 30th, as of the date of recording this video, almost half the population that actually plays Call of Duty has dropped in the last 30 days alone. And I don't think they're going to come back, if I'm being honest with you guys, because at this point, double XP seems more like a fraud than anything. Now, other amazing channels out there that I always watch, Blame Truth, Neuro Cinema, make sure to go ahead and check those guys out as well. They've been covering this as well, even Exclusive Ace. Now, what I've seen them talking about is that they'll talk about how they'll hop into a match, get one kill to see how the double XP is actually adding up, because it doesn't make any sense the way that it functions. What we found out, or what they found out, should I say, is that sometimes they'll hop into a match, they'll get a kill, and then it makes no sense. It's sporadic. Sometimes you get the XP, other times you get no XP. Make it make sense. Now, all I can gather from this is that what I've seen a few weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, I'm not even sure how long ago this was. For all I know, it could have been a different lifetime, but I know it was recent. But the big thing that happened recently with Activision is that they accidentally pushed in their dev playlist that they used to, test different features in the game. The things that we shouldn't be seeing, the behind the scenes stuff, if you will. And part of that was an actual playlist name that mentioned bots and phalanx testing. So the way that I've been seeing things, kind of put together, and the way that I'm trying to make sense of it is that I've heard some people talk about how whenever they turn on the game, they just want to hop on a match, they'll go ahead and turn on their game console, they'll hop into a match, and then suddenly out of nowhere, they'll be spawned into the middle of a match, either already downed, already taking damage, or, things like that, right? And it's kind of like, what the hell happened? Now, there is a rumor, I don't know how substantiated this is, so I will keep that being said. And it is really important that you guys also know that. So there is a rumor that apparently, if you guys go ahead and hop offline, the game will go ahead and mimic through an AI system your play style, and then make you play your account, at least, against other players to kind of artificially make it feel like there's more people playing the game than there actually are, at least in the skill bracket, if you kind of get what I'm trying to say. So, for example, let's say you're like in the higher tier skill bracket of skill-based matchmaking or whatever, that BS system. Other people that are also in the same bracket as you, if they hop offline and the game realizes there might not be enough players within the skill bracket to match you up with, it might just grab those accounts for the offline players, put in an AI system to kind of mimic their movements and play style, and have you play against them. Right? And what I'm kind of putting together here is, if you kill one of these bots, and what I'm kind of putting together here is, if you take down one of these bots and you try to actually, it'll still progress your challenges, it'll still, progress your camo grind, but after you leave the match, you might not get XP on it, because why would the game reward you for getting, taking down a bot? It makes no sense. So that's what I'm trying to kind of maybe piece together in this weird convoluted mess, because I couldn't have seen it better, when Nero broke it down, talking about how in these XP lobbies, he would go in, get a point, back out, and then sometimes he would get the corresponding medals with it, and you get no XP out of it. This makes no sense. We are literally being deceived. And at this point, it makes me already want to play less. If that's even possible, it makes people want to play Call of Duty even less. Now, at this point, it feels like vindication. It feels like vindication. And I gotta say, it's really made me, as a fan of the series for such a long time, come out of the shell and say, you know what, enough is enough. They have gotten to the point where they have inspired me to start this channel just so I can go ahead and start talking about crap that we as a community and various different communities on, all over different gaming industries, the movie industry, things like that. We're not going to take it anymore. All this corporate pandering, all of this, wanting to pander to like the suits and like the bottom line and, the usage of AI without trying to actually disclose it within the game. Even though that probably was shoved in somehow in the terms of service that no one actually ever reads, it's really, and they don't talk about it. And, when a corporation like Activision, with a trillion with a T, a company like Microsoft backing it up, when they don't want to address something, silence speaks volumes, right? And that statement has not been truer than now, because they refuse to elaborate on all of these different, allegations coming their way. And last time this happened with skill-based matchmaking, they came out and dropped the ball and admitted that it does exist. Now, chat, I have also heard people talking about the existence of skill-based damage. I personally don't have many opinions on it. I have seen a bunch of other videos on the platform talking about how they're trying to do some testing. I think I saw a video of Exclusive Ace talking about how he has been trying to do some testing. He hasn't been able to find some concrete, definitive proof of his existence. However, a lot of people have that experience where it feels like it's there. The fact that they don't want to address what is going on, right? They don't want to address the allegations head on, get ahead of this whole thing. So at least try to say, look, we get it. We're sorry. It's a misunderstanding. We're fixing it. This is what's going on. Here's a transparency. But let's be honest. At this point, Activision is a shell of what it used to be, right? I remember my very first Call of Duty game I ever owned was Modern Warfare 3 on the Xbox 360. Compare the experience of Call of Duty back then to now, and it's crackhead levels of difference. You have a game that was actually strategic, enjoyable to play, focusing on trying to match you primarily connection-based gameplay, right? A lot of people who you play against used to be local people. Compare it to now, where now you have a bunch of 10-year-old crackheads running around with this omni movement stuff. And at the risk of sounding like a boomer at this point, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. But it makes you feel like you just can't keep up. Why? Because you have a job, right? Like as the community, which is tailored to a rated M audience, is trying to protect its younger player base, right? And it's come at the cost of the franchise's identity. Take a look at the customization in the game. Look at the shop bundles in this game. You have dragons running around. You have the amount of different. How do I even describe this? The amount of crap that they are willing to shove down your throat for the sake of what? I'm pretty sure there's a chameleon, a weed chameleon running around as well. A unicorn also. This is getting to the point where it's a shadow of its former self, right? And I'm not saying that. Obviously it's a video game, right? It's a Call of Duty video game. It's an arcade shooter. But I feel like that BS excuse only goes so far, right? Because that's like saying, take something like, I don't know, what happened in the past? Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? Assassin's Creed Valhalla had a DLC a few years ago where they literally added Iron Man armor. And what was it? I think also Thanos was another one that you had. It's to the point where it doesn't make sense. And I get that it's a video game. And I get that it's about having fun. But, stick to the genre at least that you're in. Because if you're a game trying to pretend to be another game, in this case, Call of Duty feels like it's really trying to harp on Fortnite or games like that, right? Bringing in all these collabs and all of this stuff. Because they gotta stay relevant, as a Call of Duty hasn't always been relevant for the past, over a decade? There's people who are born, after Call of Duty's success, who always grew up knowing Call of Duty as this big juggernaut. Call of Duty almost always gets like best-selling game of the year. Is that not the case? Except, of course, when Rockstar releases a game. I think the last one to dethrone Black Ops 4 was Red Dead Redemption 2. At this point, all we can do as a community is stay together and make our voices heard. I will rally up and start to, talk about this stuff because I feel like it's something that we have to be looking into. I mean, as a consumer of a franchise that I have held dear and close for so many years, the least that we can do is let this greedy corporation who treats a $70 game like a free-to-play microtransaction frenzy what we think so that we can at least try to play to enjoy and not play like there's always money on the line. Because I don't know about the, Blame Truth does it best, but the data that Activision always shoves down our throats talking about how, the data always proves that they have the best, the best multiplayer interaction with skill-based matchmaking or engagement-optimized matchmaking as they call it. But the truth is, people are burnt out, and people don't want this anymore. People never really wanted this to begin with. Maybe in 2019, it was kind of more innovative because it was something different, and we always complained about, that's the thing. The Call of Duty community used to complain a lot about how the game used to feel the same every single year, but at least it was fun, right? No matter what, even though I disagreed with that notion, the game was still fun, and that was very evident in the numbers of people who always played the game. And now, it's like in 2019, they went ahead and did that dynamic shift, switching to the brand new engine, switching to the brand new style of gameplay. And I feel like we've kind of opened up Pandora's box in a way that it's going to be very difficult to close. Obviously, MW 2019 had its own style, its own art style. They had their own bundles, but things for the most part felt more online with the brand of Call of Duty. Now, ever since MW2, especially MW3, I mean, you had Nicki Minaj running around, you had a few rappers running around, you had Skeletor running around, you had so many people, you had Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider running. Yeah, it was to the point where what is the point of all of this? Who is this catering to? What audience? It's like you're trying to be a jack of all trades, but a jack of all trades is a master of none. And Call of Duty was the master of FPS, which is the reason why it's literally at this point outlived games such as Halo and Battlefield. And yet it's digging its own grave in a way that makes no sense. And all I can say is, I hope it changes, and we need to go ahead and let them know, speak with your wallets, let them know what we think of their practices in corporate greed, because this, ladies and gentlemen, has got to end. And if we don't do something about it now, it is only going to get worse. And while vindication does feel good, it is not something that we need to strive for, because as much as it's interesting, to say the least, to see the downfall of a corporation like Activision, or at least Call of Duty, the brand, the biggest brand in video game itself right now, aside from maybe Grand Theft Auto, it is also something that I don't really want to see, right? Because I also enjoyed playing Call of Duty games. I have a huge history of unpopular opinions with which ones I enjoyed, but I really loved Advanced Warfare, but I also really loved the classic games, Black Ops 2 being my favorite one, MW3, right? Like all of those games, or the OG MW3, I mean. But the thing is that I want the brand to kind of get back to its roots and then flourish from there while sticking to its roots. Like, it's good for the game, for those people who always talk about how, the game is the same thing every single year. What do you expect? There's only so many different ways you can make a military-style FPS game. Do you want people to start flying around? Well, they actually did that, starting with Advanced Warfare, going into Black Ops 3, and then Infinite Warfare. They actually tried to do things, and then people got burnt out of the jetpack era, went back to boots on the ground, and people still started complaining. That's always going to be the case, because that's not unfortunately, that's just how it is. You can't satisfy everyone, but you can at least go ahead and listen to the hardcore player base that actually spends the most amount of time playing your games. And the thing is that that's the same player base that's actively leaving. Why? Because now they're catering to the people who come in and play 5 minutes a day and then they realize that they're being protected by skill-based matchmaking, or EOMM, however you want to call it, same difference. They don't want to go ahead and continue playing. They get burnt out, they leave, and then the player counts drop. Why? Because they realize, well, there's more games out there. I was already a casual gamer to begin with. I may as well go over there and spend some money with them. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, Call of Duty may as well become free to play, because if they want to start shoving paid events down your throat, not to say, I mean, this is already looking past the fact that with the last event, they had a complete disaster with a bug, and it started gifting people all the items that you needed in order to be able to unlock the Barrett 50 cal. I mean, it's disastrous. The game it feels like it's hanging on a thread. I'm no expert in coding or video gaming like that in that sense and making games, but I'm sure that the code for this game, while it may be complex, in my opinion, it's something that is unjustifiably complex, right? Because it's not like it's complicated, but it's giving us this fun, amazing experience. No, sir, it's complicated, but it's also trying to nickel and dime you after you already spent $70 just to get the base game. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe. This is the first, my debut here on YouTube. And you know what? I hope to definitely go ahead and continue talking about these kinds of topics in the future, because as a Call of Duty fan and a fan of many different games, I feel like we have to go ahead and make a stand and let them know enough is enough. Now, with that being said, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys all on the next video.